and I thought really shone in its character development, and the chemistry between the two main love interests really came through well. I thought the actors did a really great job. I also really enjoyed the brother, like the brotherhood relationship between Charlie and Rafi. It felt very realistic. Um, the theme came across very well of um, doing the right thing even in the face of strife, and that leading you into a better path in the end. So that was very clear. Um, I also enjoyed the music and the the scenes in which they're bonding. I thought everything came together very well, and the ending was heartwarming and also goes back to that message that it was trying to convey.
Blind Faith is an American movie. It's an LA movie. It starts with the fact that maybe close to 1 million people in Los Angeles are what they say house poor, no determinate address, um, uh, residentially challenged, and this is the story of one of them. A man being through what looks to be a very bitter divorce, uh, well, as if there were any other kind, but and he's trying and struggling to maintain a relationship with his son, and that's difficult in part because he's essentially homeless. He's living in a car, and that does not impress the ex-wife, who uses it as a tool to try and deny him access because he has nowhere where the boy can meet other than him going back to her house, which you know, she doesn't seem to appear to agree with. Now, this is a story of redemption, a redemption in LA. He makes some friends. He tries to get out, do some work, um, get his life in order. I think the biggest thing is, and this is where there's a documentary aspect to this film, is that it's getting your head right. It's thinking and understanding that you are normal people. You are not a troll living under the bridge, but you're a person who's facing a tough situation, but are going to make it. And so our hero, um, Logan Martin, uh, does a good turn as an actor in this, and showing that bit of bravado, a little bit of dangerous temper, and uh, and he's matched by Gloria El Akar, who plays a blind woman love interest who has her own demons to fight with. Now, Bruce Hickey is the director on this, and it has a very American feel to it. I also say that the matchup between the Martin's character and Gloria El Akhtar uh, is a strong one. It's a relationship of both need and independence, and I think it's got legs. I actually found myself wondering if this movie was longer. It's 25 minutes, but what could you develop in the characters of those two, Martin and Alektar. And I found myself wanting to say, well, geez, before we patch on the happy ending, let's see some more interaction between them. and see how they get along and how they deal with both of their limitations and or disabilities in contemporary Los Angeles. Yeah, so I wanted more of the characters. Yeah, obviously I identified with one of them. Anyway, so it's worth a watch. I hope this movie gets some attention. Yeah.
Blind Faith delves into one of my favorite aspects when you look at the notion of a protagonist, and that's the fact that just because they are a protagonist does not mean they start off or are a quote unquote good guy. In the sense of our hero in this story, he's flawed. He went down a dark path. And he's tempted to do something nefarious. And he ends up having a redemption arc, learning in order to see his son again, he has to become a better person. And I always love these kinds of examples because it's very easy to forget that notion that a protagonist isn't always going to start off. Sorry. But a protagonist is not always going to start off virtuous and have comprising morals, but they make up for it with the second important thing is because he's a flawed character, he has to be sympathetic, and he's definitely sympathetic because we know that he is learning from his lessons because he's currently homeless. All in all, it was a very good movie, and I definitely enjoyed it.
Blind Faith was a nice story, following this guy, and I think the main actor did a great performance. Struggling with so many things in his life, and ultimately, choosing to be a good person, even if it might hurt him otherwise. And I think he did a really good job. I think you could really see him portray the characters like conflict and everything like that. And yeah, I think it was directed really well. I think, and yeah, good cinematography too. There's some really nice shots that I remember in there, and overall, it's very solid.
Well, nice job putting together a good story about people helping each other and forgiveness. It's interesting that it's all expressed through the Blind Faith record. I have that in my collection. It's not signed by anybody though. Yeah, no, it was nice to see this, just to reflect on the basic ways that we can help people and be good to each other. It also points at the ways that people can, good people can slide down and get into trouble and get into situations like the protagonist was here, and the importance of compassion and helping them. Nice job on this. I hope it does well for you.
Blind Faith. I find this film is the definition of empathetic storytelling. Just to really dig into the nuances of someone's experience of homelessness, see the challenges, and get to parse through the steps in their past that brought them to where they are now, with the challenges, the guilt, the pressures, and discriminations of just trying to get by, lack of supports, and maybe getting into the wrong crowd and getting taken advantage of. Just the weight of the drama was held in this very delicate balance throughout, and I thought the storytelling was brilliant in how the story unfolded and the backstory was revealed, so we could find those connections and see the relationships between the characters. Now, near the end, there was some abrupt editing, so I'm assuming I saw maybe a not finished product of the film, but it didn't detract from the overall message and sentiment of the piece. And I think absolutely excellent writing that was unexpected and just really nuanced character stories.
All right, I just finished watching Blind Faith. What I really enjoyed about this piece was sort of the range of emotion and styles that it was able to portray in a very short amount of time. It felt like a feature film concept that was condensed very well in within these, I think, 20 something or so minutes. And there was clearly a well thought out construction of how to tell the story amongst the ensemble cast. And I thought the cast did a really great job at either playing the high emotional moments, like early on with the separated couple, or the more jovial and camaraderie themed moments with like the young women at the restaurant. And I felt like each scene and setting as the piece progressed showed a different layer of not just acting but sort of visual cues that the piece was able to exploit very well, especially since it was a very contained setting and not really playing out on a large scale. I felt like there was a sense of compassion and heart in this piece and a good sense of humor that made it very relatable. It made the central concept relatable and the lead characters relatable. It ended up creating a moment towards the end that felt natural, and I thought ended up hitting the beats and the points that it intended to, especially on an emotional level. So I ended up enjoying the piece a lot, and the last scene with them dancing is quite visually striking, and there's a good reflection of the journey that you watch over the course of the piece. So that ended up really working for me and creating an experience that I enjoyed, and I definitely would recommend.